With its rich and vibrant 200-year history, there are plenty of reasons to be a proud citizen of Cleveland. Let's flip the pages back in this history to the late 1800s and take a look at the 4-mile stretch known as Millionaires Row. Who would we meet? What would we see? Here to spin the tale of Cleveland's past is storyteller Dan Rominski. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So how did you become the Cleveland Storyteller?
Well, it happened by accident. 9 years ago, I decided to go to the Gates Mills Library to do some research. I lived on a property owned by Walter White, White Sewing Machine, White Motors, people may recognize.
Okay.
1,200-acre estate. Hawken High School, a notable school, took 300 acres. The balance was subdivided, so I owned 6. And one morning, about 9 years ago, I said to my wife, I'm going to the library. And she laughed, because I'd never go to the library.
Okay.
And I said, I'd like to know what my property looked like during the estate, whether it was a hayfield or cornfield. Mm-hmm. I go to the library, ask for a book, they had it. I indeed was a cornfield. And a few minutes later, the librarian tapped me on the shoulder and said, are you interested in this history? And I said, yes, I am. Would you be willing to do a talk for the library?
Oh, my goodness.
And she introduced me to the Gates Mills historical director. And by the way, we'll pay you, which I thought was
well, that's an extra added bonus
marvelous.
there.
And they gave me 2 months to put the story together. I went to Hawken High School and got into the archives of the White family. Was amazed at the story, especially their part in winning World War I. Put the story together, showed up that day. They expected 40 people and over 100 showed up.
Oh, my goodness.
So the following Monday, my secretary was laughing when I came in and said, you know, you're now in the storyteller business. We have calls from libraries all over the over
how
the city.
Exciting.
So we broke a record, and of course I had to come back to Gates Mills and do another one because we had a waiting list.
Oh my goodness.
So that's how it started.
All right, so what was Millionaires Row? Where was it? Tell me about it.
The Millionaires Row basically was a 4-mile stretch of Euclid Avenue. Initially started at Public Square and went out to East 105th Street. And I think what people are amazed at, it was over 250 homes.
Okay.
Most of them mansions, not all, but most. But they were on very large properties. They were on little estates, 6 acres sometimes.
Oh my.
The biggest were on the north side of the street because there was a ridge that was there so they could see Lake Erie from their backyard. And some of them were as big as 55,000 square feet. Requiring, one of them required over 100 servants to service the mansion.
So these were celebrities in Cleveland, right?
Well, they really were. I think it was at a time, I think human nature is such that we all crave celebrity. Obviously, back in the 1885s, we did not have sports heroes or movie stars. But the people who lived on the row, like Rockefeller and Mather and Hanna, they were known throughout the world. So people would walk the avenue or ride the avenue just to get a glimpse. Rockefeller going to church on Sunday was a big deal.
Oh,
yeah,
my goodness.
Just to see him. And then for over 30 years, between 1885 and 1905, they had the Euclid Avenue sleigh races. And they would race from East 40th to East 9th. And all these characters that were celebrities would race every afternoon for 6 weeks in the winter. And if you know that corridor, thousands of people would line up between 40th and 9th to see their heroes at play. And they were all vying for the fastest horse, which was a trotter. And we had world champion after world champion.
Oh my goodness.
Because they bred these horses for speed.
So is it true that the first automobile was actually sold in Cleveland?
Indeed. A fellow by the name of Alexander Winton, and so many of us have been to Winton Place and seen the name. That was a person. Had the largest automobile plant in the world at one time. And in 1898, a fellow from Pittsburgh came in and bought the first automobile here in Cleveland.
Good legacy.
Yes.
Interesting stories, too. Sharing short stories and keeping the glory of Cleveland alive is an educational and entertaining event. To place yourself into the next Cleveland Storyteller Chronicle, give Dan a call. My thanks to Dan for joining us today.
Thank you.
For future engagements, give Dan a call at 440-951-1323 or log on to www.clevelandstoryteller.com.